Welcome to this Forge College Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into reusable modifiers and composition, a really crucial piece of our control flow with function modifiers module in the Solidity from Zero track. If you caught our last explainer on access control and validation, you already know how to put a solid deadbolt on the front door of your smart contract. But what happens when you try to stack multiple locks on that same door? Well, sometimes the whole house starts acting haunted. We're going to dive into this today and see how mixing up modifier composition can lead to some seriously bizarre and potentially dangerous behavior. Here's our quick itinerary for today. 1. The modifier mystery. 2. Order dictates control flow. 3. Banning secret side effects. 4. Powering up with parameters. 5. Fixing the buggy contract. And finally, number 6, your final debug report. All right, Section 1, the modifier mystery. Let's examine the crime scene. So here's the big question. Why is our smart contract acting completely possessed, flipping the feature-enabled state unexpectedly? On the surface, the code looks perfectly innocent. But when we run our test suite, we find a literal gremlin in the machinery. State variables are changing simply because we are checking who the owner is. Imagine walking up to a security guard, handing them your ID, and just by doing that, the bank vault behind them magically swings wide open. No way, right? But that is exactly what's happening here, and we've got to figure out why. Moving to Section 2, Order dictates control flow. Let's look at how these things stack up. You got to picture modifiers like a gauntlet of strict bouncers outside an exclusive club. You literally have to get past one to even talk to the next. Execution flows strictly left to right in your source code. Modifier 1 runs its checks first. If you pass, you hit that underscore placeholder. Now, that underscore isn't just some random punctuation. It's the specific command to step forward. So you pass the underscore and boom, you hit modifier 2. It runs its checks, pass those, hit its underscore, and finally you are allowed into the actual function body, left to right, always. Let's look at a concrete example drawn out right here. We've got a public function called privileged action. It has 2 modifiers, feature on, followed by owner only. Because of that strict left to right flow we just talked about, this means the feature on check runs completely before the ownership bouncer even bothers to look at your ID. If the feature is off, the transaction reverts right then and there. The owner check never even happens. The sequence dictates the entire flow.
Section 3, Banning Secret Side Effects. This is where we learn to keep our modifiers pure.
When you combine execution order with hidden side effects, you're basically building a massive risk matrix. Take a look at the first scenario sketched out here. If you list owner only and then feature on, but owner only is secretly mutating the state to turn the feature on, you've got a high risk level. The first modifier mutates the state before passing you to the second, creating absolute chaos for your control flow. The feature check will pass even if it was originally supposed to be off, simply because the owner check flipped the switch first. Now, the second scenario is low risk because feature on doesn't mutate anything, and the third scenario is moderate risk. The bottom line, baking side effects into modifiers turns your order of operations into a complete minefield. All right, Section 4, Powering up with parameters. Let's talk about modular validation. A parameterized modifier. The definition here is beautifully simple. It's a reusable modifier that accepts arguments to encapsulate validation logic without duplicating code across functions. By passing specific rules, like, say, a minimum amp threshold, directly into a modifier, we keep our code modular, highly reusable, and most importantly, entirely free of those nasty hidden side effects. So instead of copy-pasting the exact same require statements everywhere, you can neatly stack these parameterized validators like pristine little building blocks. You can use a modifier like non-zero and pass in a uint256 amount to universally check for 0 values across your contract. You can add range checks like non-zero above, passing in a minimum limit. Doing this totally prevents you from copy-pasting validation logic, and it keeps your actual function bodies incredibly clean, focused, and just a joy to read. Section 5, Fixing the Buggy Contract. Time to clean up this mess. Armed with our newfound knowledge of strict execution order, the dangers of side effects, and the elegance of parameterization, let's look at the before and after fix. See the old code? We had feature-enabled equals true sitting right inside the modifier. That was our gremlin. It was sneaking a state mutation right in before the required check and the underscore. We fixed this by completely ripping that sneaky state mutation out of the access modifier. The modifier is now purely a check. Require message sender equals owner, and then the underscore. We take the side effect, actually enabling the feature, and we put it into its own explicit, clearly named function where it belongs. And the results are immediate. We removed the hidden state mutation from only owner, we created that explicit enable feature function, we explicitly ordered the privileged action modifiers so they make a logical sense, and we parameterized our non-zero checks. And guess what? Our unit tests, which were previously throwing completely erratic errors, now pass consistently with flying colors. Wrapping things up with Section 6, your final debug report, the golden rules. The entire takeaway is captured right here in these 5 golden rules. Number 1, modifier order is always source order, strictly left to right. Number 2, never, ever put state-changing side effects in your access controls. Just don't do it. Number 3, move those state mutations to explicit, dedicated functions so everyone can clearly see what's happening. Number 4, parameterize your modifiers to reduce duplication and keep your codebase dry. And number 5, always write unit tests to systematically prove your ordering assumptions are correct. Keep your checks pure and respect the sequence. That wraps up the core concepts for this Forge College Explainer. Next up in our Solidity from Zero track is patterns and best practices for modifiers, where we're going to formalize these exact rules into broader architectural patterns. But before you head over to forge.college to dive deeper into this subject and continue mastering Web3, I want to leave you with this slightly terrifying thought to ponder on your debugging journey. What hidden side effects might be secretly lurking inside the smart contracts you interact with every single day? Scary stuff. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.